Hi, I'm supersword, and in this class tutorial you're going to be learning the basics of 3ds Max. I'm going to consider this a basic 3ds Max beginner's lowdown. I'm not going to be able to cover every single aspect of 3ds Max because it is a very large scale program. What I want you to be able to leave at the end of this tutorial with is the knowledge that you can continue to learn on your own, and you don't need a video tutorial to learn everything yourself. Now I'm going to try and provide you with as much knowledge as I can. Hopefully I'll be able to create a few more video tutorials, but at the moment I think the best thing I can do, instead of jumping everybody in that has no 3ds Max any 3D modeling tutorial, especially with 3ds Max, I don't want to go straight in and end up confusing a lot of people. I want to consider everybody as a beginner. Now I know there could be expert 3D modelers here. They're just checking out, make sure I'm not telling you a bunch of lies. Or there could be completely brand new 3D modelers, or people that don't even have the program that are curious. And I want everybody to understand that the idea of this is that you get a guide. Now that's not to say that I can teach you the exact way to create a perfect model of a 3D character, and it doesn't mean that I'm just gonna show you how to map out a sphere, and that's it. So you just gonna have to stick with me. It's gonna be quite long. I've got a little list in front of me that I'm gonna try and get around the best way I can. Now, if anyone has any comments on this, I do want to see them around the modsonline.com forums, and I'm sure that everybody will benefit from any corrections you might want to make, because essentially I'm not an expert 3D modeler. Now I've been doing this 3 or 4 months, so but that doesn't mean to say that I'm going to give you false information. I'm going to try as hard as I can to give you the correct information from what I've learned from different tutorials, different books and things like that. So I suppose the first thing we better do is get started. Or if we haven't done that already. Okay, so we're going to start up 3ds Max. You see here I have mine in an external drive, but you should have a desktop icon on your desktop, and you haven't, you can go through the start menu. Now I'll double click on this and hopefully we'll get loaded. So 3ds Max finally loaded up on my very slow computer, and the first thing I can say is this program is designed, well, not designed, but you're probably better off if you're using a large screen, and I think the recommended size for 3ds Max is 1280 by 1024. Now obviously I don't have a screen that big, because those that do have a screen big enough will notice that there are some buttons missing, and I'll come to that in a minute. You'll notice you have a lot of menu items up here, and there's some buttons down here, obviously. Now I suppose the first thing I should do is try and show you the basic buttons that you're going to use. Now here you should be already recognise this will be one of your favourite buttons, the undo button. This just goes back a step from the last edit that you made. Your redo button, which goes forward from the last undo. Here you have the select object button here. This basically gives you the standard cursor, which you can use to select different pieces of 3D art. I call it 3D art, or I'll call it geometry. You you know what I mean when I'm talking about it. This is a select and move tool here. This is for when you have your geometry laid out and you want to move it around. You use this. You select and rotate. Obviously, select and rotate the geometry. This, you select and manipulate tool. You probably won't need to. I probably won't be showing you about using this, but if I do, you understand. Now, obviously, for those with a larger screen, you see that there are buttons missing. Now the reason buttons are missing on my screen is because I don't have a big enough screen, like I said. So the way I get around this is because 3ds Max realizes that my screen is not big enough to display every button. So instead of maybe squeezing them all in to the size I have, it hides some. Now if I go to a blank area, blank grey area around here, you see I get the white hand. Now basically all I've got to do is click with my left mouse button, drag to the left, and I get more buttons. Now these, I'm not going to cover what they do, but that's just what that's just where they are. If you do need to find them later on when you are exploring, or in another tutorial if I make one when you'll be using these. You'll notice on the side here we have this little box of tools here. Now we don't really need this. Actually, you don't need this at all. So basically, I'm gonna drag from down here and just undock this. Now, if I want to put that back into the corner there, I could drag it to the left. Drag it just anywhere I want. So, or I can right click it, dock, and select an area. Now we don't want this at all. So once you've dragged it out or undocked it, you press this little X button here. Now, the whole view that you see here. Now the colour of this, the theme of this can be changed completely from the customize menu, along with other different things. So if I go to customize user interface, there's a lot of things I can change. See, keyboard, I can change toolbars, quads, menus, and colours. I won't go into what they are, but that's if you do see anything about them, that's where it is. If I wanted to change the theme of the whole interface, I go to custom UI and default switcher. Now this one I quite like, but for the sake of the tutorial I won't be using it because it is a bit hard to see, but it does look very nice when it's all loaded up. So if you do want to change, you know where to go. Okay, you notice here on the side you have a little, this is a tabbed panel. Now this is where you'll do most of your, well, pretty much all of your 3D modelling, but not to say that it's the only thing we use. All I'm going to cover is, or the basics that you need to know, is create, modify, hierarchy, and the rest of them I'm not going to go into, because not what I consider beginner. The hierarchy, just going into it. Okay, the create panel basically is where you can create different simple pieces of geometry, or you can go into things that are a little bit more complex, carrying on into lights. This is something, well, I won't go into that, but basically this is where you start off. Now, using the different tools here can be used for different effects. Obviously using a box, I'm not going to be able to create, like a simple box, I'm not going to be able to create a human face, or say a jug. But if I was to use something like a line tool, I could create that using different tools that are built into the 3D modelling tools, 3ds Max. Now, I'll also go on to the next one, the create panel. I call these panels, and I call these tabs. So the tabs are subcategories of the panels. The modify list, where you'll see, this is where you'll do all. I recommend you do all of your modifying of your pieces of geometry, and your hierarchy. Now basically the hierarchy is used to link different pieces of geometry together. Say if you were creating a face, or you were creating I don't know, maybe a car or something like that, you can put different things together in a hierarchy. So the first thing we'll cover is just going through basic pieces of geometry. Now But sorry. First, go for something else. You see these grey boxes you have here. These are called viewports. Now, basically, they're all the different sections of all the different views of your scene. I call it a scene. Um, so, if you're looking on a bird's eye view of a sphere, you see it in this area. You're looking from the front of the sphere, you see it here. Left of the sphere, you see it here. And obviously, it's pretty much all going to look the same, unless you've made any edits which don't make it a sphere. But if I was to make a, say, not a cylinder, if I was to make a pyramid, I'd see different things. Now, you'll notice on the side here we have a toolbar. Oh, we have a slider, and this is for different aspects which we're not going to cover. You have your X, Y, and Z, or Z axes where you can move things. You've got your next frame, fast forward, back, stop, play, pause, and you have here which are called viewport panels. Now basically these just edit different views that you see from your viewport. So if I was to click perspective, which is where you see the 3D view, and I click maximize viewport toggle, everything else goes and I just see the perspective panel, which isn't what we want just yet. Now, first thing I'll show you is a box. So I'm going to click on the box, and you'll now see it's orange with like a dotted line around it. Now you'll notice that as soon as I come onto or into a viewport, I get sort of a crosshair cursor. Now basically that means that 3ds Max has realised that I've clicked one of the boxes inside a tab, and now it's ready to accept me to start mapping out some geometry. So that first thing you do, I normally map my basic shapes at the top viewport. Some people prefer to use the front, some people use the left, but I just use the top. No, there's no difference. Well, there is a difference, but it won't affect your shape, the way your shape looks at the final piece. So at the top, I'm just going to start drawing from here, or mapping from here, and just make a simple. I'll go a little bit smaller. Make a simple square. Now you'll see that when I draw from the left to right, it's quite flat. But obviously because a box is a 3D shape, it has 6 sides. You can't just make it like that. So you need to give it height, basically. So by giving it height, I click from left to right, holding the mouse button, and let go. Now I move over into the front viewport. You don't have to, you can still do it from here, but I just find it easier. Go over to the left, the front viewport, and drag up or down, however until I have the correct size that I want it. So I'll say that. Now that no, so that probably isn't the most perfect thing you can do, but looking at that, it looks okay. So I've drawn out my first box. Now, if I wanted to edit this box, you see that I have different sections down here where I can make edits. Now, this is where a lot of beginning modelers do their editing. This is, I wouldn't recommend you do it, simply because as soon as you deselect, it'll all go, and it just means that you've got more work to go over, and it looks easy at first, but when you get into more, you get into large scale 3D modeling, you'd just be easier if you stay into the create panel, into the modify panel, and I'll come on to reasons why later on. So I'll escape, reselect it. Right, it's already selected. Go to modify, and now I can edit the parameters. So if I make the length 60 by just typing 60 and pressing enter, width 60, height 60. Now all I did there is edit the different parameters of the actual shape. So I gave it a length, a width, and a height. Now a box, a perfect cube is more of a cube now. Well, it's still a box and a cube. A cube is a 3D shape, 3D square that has same size, same length, width, and height, which is what I've done. Now, to be honest, that isn't the most the box isn't the most useful thing, but it's definitely it's there for a reason. So you will find different uses for it. I'll go on something a little bit different. So I'll just reset everything. I prefer to do this if I'm just doing small, if I'm just like going through different things, or I'm just having a little test. I just reset everything. So it says your scene has not been modified. Do you wish to save your changes? I'm not going to save my changes. So it's going to double check that just in case I have a lot of important work that I don't want to, and I click the wrong button. I don't recommend anyone does that. It would just double check that I have I'm one step away from resetting the whole scene. So I'm going to click yes, and I reset everything to default. So the next thing I'll show you is we'll do a pyramid. Now I do the first step like I did the box. I give it a base. Now I release my mouse, go over to the side, and give it height. Now you'll notice that with a pyramid, the less or more height you give it, you change will affect the overall shape, obviously. But what I'm trying to say is, you make this too tall, and you could end up not getting the effect you wanted. So if I just wanted to make a simple pyramid, I'd make it small. If I make it really tall, it doesn't look, to me, I don't think it looks that nice. So, but again, it's only a basic shape. So I just click there, click with my left mouse button to end it, and then I get escape, go to the modify panel, and make any modifications I want. I'll give this a width of 75, depth of 70, and a height of, say, put it to 60, and that looks okay. Now I'm gonna quickly show you if I wanted to explore around this and see what it looked like from all different angles. I'd select that viewport. I'd press the maximize viewport tool, and then I would click the arc rotate tool. And basically this creates a circle around the viewport, where I can put my mouse inside the circle and drag around to see what a piece of geometry looks like from all different angles. Now it's not that interesting with a sphere, because obviously you've only got one thing. It will repeat itself all the time. So what you can do is you can go to the side, turn it right, just switch it around, look at different angles, and all that different kind of stuff. It's not this gets more it's more appropriate with different pieces of 3D art. Alright, so I'm going to select that and delete it. Now I'm going to just reset. I should have reset it really before, but